Hello and welcome. So, today I'm going to talk about spirituality, freedom, and kind of what spirituality is from my point of view. And what I wanted to mention when it comes to spirituality, where I wanted to start this talk today, is I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about a religious congregation. I'm not talking about a specific set of beliefs. When I talk about spirituality, it's essentially what is it that I believe in? Where does my truth come from? Where's my source of information? How do I view myself, my own purpose, and how do I view the world at large? Why are people doing what they are doing? And of course, dogma is usually a very common thing that people think about when you say spirituality. You think about religion, or you think about something that's non-tangible, very abstract, that doesn't many times fits into a Western mindset and a fast-paced society. But spirituality is much more than that, right? Simply about what you make your own reality. So let's say, for instance, something I notice a lot here at the farm when people come and stay with us is when they do a fast. If I don't eat for a certain amount of days, then my body can't survive, or I can't survive, or this will happen. And then when they do that for a few days and notice nothing really happened, it was just a mindset. That's a spiritual shift, right? Your belief system changes. What else might I be thinking is right, but that might not be right. That might just be a belief system containing me from doing what I want to do. So that's something that I noticed that's a very practical case with clients. And if you look at spirituality from more mindfulness, more Eastern Buddhist philosophy, it has a lot to do with attachments, thoughts, entanglements to others, to emotions, to stories. And it's literally, you can condense it down to the fact that if whatever you try to hold on to and doesn't want to change will drag you down or pull you away, or you will start to resist change, right? Whatever you try to hold on to, I don't want this to be true. I don't want this to happen. This event that happened in the past, I didn't like it. I hope it won't happen again. Or even come to the point where we deny that event ever happened, right? Or holding on to something. I worked really hard for all this money and for this house, for this car, and then I lose it, and then I can't handle that, right? It's too much to lose all of these things that I work so hard for, right? Or I'm very attached to something. I'm attached to something being in a certain way. Death is a common thing that will allow people to grow spiritually. Someone died too early. This person died too early. Oh, it wasn't their time. Well, when you die, it's always your time, right? Otherwise, you won't die. But we have a preconceived idea, a spiritual view, that someone's going to live to an old age. And if they die early, they die too young. They're not dying when they're supposed to die. And when we start to notice that life isn't like that, that's also a form of spiritual shift. You start to look at things differently. What's important to me? What am I actually doing with my life? What do I want to be doing? Am I happy? If I look back at my life from, if I get to be 80, 90 years old and I'm at my deathbed and I look back at my life, have I done what I wanted to do? Do I feel happy? Can I die in a happy way and calm? But I feel I have a lot of things unfinished, things that I didn't say to people, things that I didn't solve. So that's also a way of looking at spirituality. What's the essence of your life? What's the life quality? How do you embrace life in a way that allows you to grow? And a lot of the name, living with the spirit, comes from that essence, not from bias, not from conditionings from religion or culture or societal upbringing in your family. It really comes down to, what's real for you. What is your truth? What do you use as a guiding compass to move forward? Am I always going to an external source and taking in information from there, right? If something's wrong with my body, Do I do an internal scan and work with the resources and knowledge that I have? Or do I go to a professional straight away and I want them to tell me what's wrong with me? And I'm not saying that's a bad approach. I'm just saying, are your decisions and your basis for making decisions coming from an external source, or can I actually find it within me? Is there actually something within me that resonates with this is our way forward and this is not our way forward? And once you find that, that's what we call living with the spirit, that you have your guide, your intuition, your gut feeling that drives you forward, that allows you to move forward in life, that allows you to be who you are without feeling blame, shame, or guilt. So it's a big essence when it comes to spirituality, because the things that we think we cannot have and that we hold on to, once we start to let them go, that's actually where a lot of our stress will disappear, a lot of our thoughts will reduce, right? That's usually the basis of stress. The things that we can't accept, won't accept, cannot let go, don't want, resist, hold on to, all of those things are usually what's causing us stress, right? Lack of acceptance, lack of gratitude, commitment, lack of compassion. So when we look at it from, in my term, when I look at it from a spiritual point of view, you can ask yourself a question. What is this experience, this event, this person, this relationship? What are they here to teach me? What is it that I'm not seeing about myself that's led me to invite this person in, consciously or subconsciously or from my autonomic nervous system? What has invited this event in for me to have this experience? And what's this experience really here to teach me? Whether the experience is good or bad, whatever I deem as good or bad. And once we start to look at events in that way, there's always room for growth. There's always a reason for why this is happening. There's always a reason for why we're feeling in a certain way, why we're noticing things, why we, as my breathwork teacher would say, you have the same relationship with a new face. You have the same relationship dynamic, even though you went out of a relationship and into a new one, because there's something in you that's not resolved that is attracting these kind of interactions, these kind of people into my life, these events, these situations. And the more we can realize that and actually allow ourselves to go there, the easier it is to start to let go of whatever's holding us back, what's making us stress, what's making us people please, or not being able to do what we want to do, or staying in a job that I don't like to do. We can actually start to lean into those uncomfortable experiences and see, what are they here to teach me? What's the real lesson here? And once you start to do that, you will have what we call an expansion. You will it's kind of, it's like being in a room, right? I'm in a room right now. And let's say I go up to the wall and I place my hand on the wall. Now, in my mind, a wall would be there because that's a room. But let's say I place my hand on the wall and the wall just moves away a meter. All of a sudden, my perception of what this room is has shifted. And this is similar to what happens when belief systems are expanded or when they're collapsed. We will have a different way of viewing ourselves and the world. And that is a spiritual shift, that we're looking at things differently. Why are we here? What's important? Why are we doing the things we're doing? Why are things happening in our lives? Why does this happen to this person but not to me? And vice versa. So once we start to have these shifts, we're actually open for growth. We're actually open for something new to come into our lives. But it's very hard to see sometimes because we might be very, very micro focused into what we're doing, into our busy lives, into our daily schedules and routines. And that's why mindfulness is such a good aspect, because it gives you this micro pauses to look at things differently. If I get a pause from the stress of my life and then come back into it, do I choose to do the same thing, or do I shift something, even if it's just a little bit, slightly? And the more I can start to notice these pauses and come back and look at the way I do things and perceive things and do a little shift, the less amount of stress you will have, the less amount of pain you will have, the more your body will start to heal, the better you will feel, because you will notice something that you're doing that is creating the situation you're in. And there's no blame or shame or guilt in it. This might be something you're doing that you're so familiar to that you don't even notice that it's a choice, that you're actually making a choice every time you do it. Oh, this is the way I am. This is the way I do. It happens so automatically for you that we can't even see where we start this cycle, where we start to make a choice and have a consequence and the next consequence. So what the mindfulness of going into the body does, it really allows us to have these pauses where we can look at life, where we can look at interactions, our mindsets, our belief systems in a very different way and come with a different approach. And it's very interesting because in a Western society, we talk a lot about you are what you do. Action is the way forward. And that's true, right? Actionable steps is the way forward. But when you look at it more from an Oriental or Buddhistic or mindfulness, let's put it like that, point of view, philosophy, we're looking more at what are you not doing. The things that you are not doing will give you a result. So that's very interesting, right? In the West, we look at what you're doing is what makes you the person you are. And in the East, you're looking at what are you not doing? And because you're not doing that, this is not happening in your life. This is not doing damage to you or anyone else. And that's also a very interesting way of spirituality, that it's very different, very vast. One can even say that science is a piece of spirituality because it's a set of belief systems. Sure, I have a thesis and I prove it with experiments and studies and so on, but I'm still formulating a thesis. What if this isn't right? Then I will need to shift it, right? So it's a set of belief system. It's a set of the way I view things and what's right or wrong. So science, in a sense, is also about spirituality. It's a way of viewing things. And then if you can prove it with your with your experiments or your studies or trials, that's also up to what I believe is right or wrong and how do I perceive it and what's the outcome of it. So when you look at it, spirituality is really in the essence of who we are and why we believe we are here, and it has nothing to do with dogma or religion. It can do, but it doesn't have to. So the more we can expand our mindset and view ourselves, situations, and events, the more choices we have to make a change and to feel more sustainable. And that's why we, in many ways, created a retreat here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, at Living with the Spirit, where people can come and stay and experience something different. Because when you're in your everyday life environment, it's hard to kind of go out of it because everyone will reflect back who you are. Oh, you look like this, you talk like this is you, you are my friend, I know you for many years. That environment might not accept that you are changing and doing things radically, because that will provoke or invite them into change, and they may or may not be ready for it. So when you come to an environment like this, we work with you, create a safe container and a space for you to grow and explore who you are without all your responsibilities and without all the noise of the outside world. And you can really come home and see who's there behind all belief systems and conditionings and traumas. And once you start to heal and let that person out, then you really start to live from your essence. And then you can live your dream life and have a lot of magnificent shifts happen to you, usually quite quickly in your life. So if you want to know more about our retreat, feel free to go into livingwithspirit.com and you can book a free discovery call with us and just get a feeling for us if we're a good fit for you, if you enjoy what we're doing. You can also read more about our retreats on our websites. And you can also read, we have a lot of materials and videos about spirituality, different ways of spirituality. And we also invite guests that talks about a lot of these topics in our podcast that you can find on Live with the Spirit on our YouTube channel. And if you want to know more about this, feel free to drop me a comment, or if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer anything you might have. So thank you for listening today, and I wish that you have an amazing day.